Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur time traveler, and welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day. All we do is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want to engage with you, and I want you to be part of the conversation, so find me on the Twitter, on the Rizzle, on the Instagram, and on the Cameo at Colt S. Taylor, and catch up on my weekly, monthly, yearly activities at ColtSebastianTaylor.com. All right, folks, let's get started with this week's Saturday Report. First up this week, my friends, breaking news. It's about me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. You may have caught it last week, but today's episode marks the 1-year anniversary of the first Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor on AWSM Radio. 52 weeks of news you may have missed throughout the week here on this great radio station, and I am immensely pleased that we've reached the 1-year mark. They say the first year is the hardest, as they do say. I've had just a delightful time every week collecting stories to talk to you about on Saturday, putting together this show. I mean, I am literally waking up every day, going through, 1, 2, 3 dozen news stories, picking one that I think is interesting, putting it into a list of stories to cover, and then tell it, there are lots that I don't get to every week because, that 40 minutes just flies by so quickly. So, my friends, I want to thank you for listening in and week out. Not just my mother and my grandmother, I know they're big fans, but everyone else who listens here in the United States, India, throughout the world, and of course want to thank the fantastic, forward-thinking, brave, courageous people at AWSM Radio for giving me the opportunity to be here with you week in and week out here on the weekends, on Saturdays. And I'm still ready to go. So I'm going to be here as long as the fates allow, until they get bored of me and throw me into the streets where I once came and where I will once return. So, in all seriousness, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun. I enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it half as much as I do. Because if you enjoy it half as much as I do, then you probably are just as tickled as I am talking to you week in and week out. All right, so I guess that isn't the official big breaking news. That's just a little note, little footnote for you. All right, let's get started then. Let me talk to you about some things that have come across my radar this week. First, folks, if you are a regular listener to the show, that I despise corporate incompetence. You may remember my ongoing feud with Hyundai. Hi, Hyundai! Haven't forgot you. Kind of screwing me over $4,000. But I have a friend. Her name is Shoshana Wiseman. She's the head of digital media at the R Street Institute, my Twitter buddy. She claims to be the senator from East Virginia. So lots of people get mad at her for things that the government does, and not quite realizing that there is no East Virginia. Fun fact, people are stupid. Well, my friend Shoshana here rented from Budget Rent-A-Car. Yes, hello, Budget. Yes, you've gotten on my radar. She rented a car, she returned it, and then she noticed that several $1,000s was charged on her credit card. Like, that's weird. Interesting. Called them up, and it says, well, you never returned the car. And she said, yeah, I returned the car. And then she had some documentation about it. And they say, oh, okay, sorry about that. We'll just take that off. Then they charge her again and says, well, we can't find the car, so we don't think you actually returned it. So basically, because Budget Rent-A-Car has a inventory system like most kindergarten crayon boxes where we don't really know where the gold crayon went, so it must have been eaten by someone else or taken by someone else, they're charging my friend Shoshana Wiseman of the R Street Institute thousands of dollars for a car they have, but they have misplaced in their inventory system. They just don't know where this car is, and I guess whoever touched it last is it, and so she's the one who's being charged by thousands and thousands of dollars by Budget Rent-A-Car because they have an incompetent system of inventory management. So I am here today on my anniversary show, listened to by hundreds of thousands of people, not only here in the United States, but around the world. Friends, there's two things you do not want to do. It's one, buy a used Hyundai, or maybe any Hyundai all put together, and rent a car from Budget Rent-A-Car. The worst thing you could possibly do is to rent a Hyundai Tucson from Budget Rent-A-Car. That's like, you are tempting fate. You are tempting fate. You might as well walk underneath a ladder, kick a black cat, and shatter a mirror on Friday the 13th because you are just setting yourself up for some major failure there. So, hopefully my good friend Shoshana will be able to rectify this with Budget, and they shall rightfully return her money to her. I am still not holding out too much hope for the folks at Hyundai. Hyundai just doesn't care about their customers. They really don't. They do not stand behind their product. They do not care. So they just ignore you and whatnot. They'll give you a sort of courtesy call. Like, oh gosh, we feel bad about that. Nothing we're going to do. And I feel like that's what Budget is doing to Shoshana here. Oh my goodness. I just made a connection. What if the customer service at Hyundai is the same customer service at Budget? The calls are coming from inside the call center. Oh, what a twist. So good luck, Shoshana. You keep me updated, and I will share the story. I mean, listen, you probably have a little bit more reach than I do, but I'm more than happy to share your troubles with Budget to my ever-growing audience here on AWSM Radio. Next, we go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. What is in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee? Well, as you probably know, and it probably makes total sense, the Titanic Museum attraction in Tennessee. Yes, in Tennessee there is a Titanic Museum attraction where people can learn about the Titanic, see I'm going to have to guess not a scale model of the Titanic, but a model that's, probably a third of the size of it, I suppose. And they can see a big wall of ice and touch it and see what the iceberg felt like that hit the Titanic. Well, for some reason, a large part of the ice wall collapsed and fell and injured 3 people at the museum. No, it's nothing too serious, but enough to take people to the hospital. So, probably thrown around a bit and probably checking them for concussions and whatnot. And they don't quite know why this iceberg collapsed. Obviously, probably heat related. So that part of the museum is closed, and they said it's going to take them 4 weeks. 4 weeks to rebuild the iceberg wall. So basically, it's a wall of ice that I guess they keep frozen, and part of it collapsed and injured several people. So they want to keep everyone's safety in mind, obviously, and keep the attraction open. But the ice wall part will be closed for at least a month. And according to the Pigeon Forge Police Department, they say the collapse appears to be accidental. So that I found it to be amazing that there was a Titanic attraction museum in Tennessee. But the story I read had just the last line is a kicker to me, because when I read it, I went, what? So let me read to you the last 3 sentences of this story. This is from CBS News. The Pigeon Forge Police Department said in a statement that the collapse appears to be accidental, the Knoxville News Sentinel reported. Cedar Bay Entertainment opened the attraction in 2010. The company has another Titanic museum in Branson, Missouri. So not only is there one Titanic museum where you could have a nice wall, see a scale model of the Titanic, and I guess get passing knowledge about the tragedy, but there's 2 of them. 2 of them. One in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and the other one in Branson, Missouri. Yeah, I did not. I did not think there'd be one museum of this nature. Obviously, there's exhibits about the Titanic, but not a Titanic attraction museum. But there's 2. There's 2. I'm guessing, just going on a limb here, there's not a lot of Titanic memorabilia there, like items from the Titanic. I'm going to have to guess that a lot of it is replicas. Just guessing. Just guessing. I could be wrong. Not too interested to research it myself, but I do know there are 2 Titanic museums, so next time that comes up in trivia, you are all set. Although there may be 2 Titanic museums, one in Tennessee and one in Missouri, there is only one! DC! And we got him. That's right, my pal DC. You need to check out his show, DC Live in Effect. He is our in-house DJ, and he mixes it up every Friday night at 9 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m. You do not, friends, want to miss out while he smashes it on the 1s and 2s, kicking the beats from South Florida. It is a fantastic show. He is a very talented gentleman, my pal DC. You do not want to miss out on his show, so mark your calendars. Just to repeat until the end of time, DC Live in Effect, Fridays at 9 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m., right here on AWSM Radio. Next, it's time for an Olympic update, time for a medal update. So the Olympics are ending this weekend. Currently, in terms of medal count, China is in the lead with 36 gold, United States with 31, Japan with 24, Great Britain with 18. The Russian Olympic Committee, which is also Russia, they just can't use their flag, which is a kind of a silly punishment for their doping and whatnot. They have 17, Australia has 17, Italy has 10, Germany 9, Netherlands 9, France 7. In terms of, that's ranked by total gold medals. In terms of total medals, all in all, the United States has 98, China 79, and then it pretty much goes down pretty much the same order from there. So China has the most gold medals, but the United States has the most medals overall. Last week, I said there was a sweep. A medal sweep is when one country wins all 3 medals in an event. So far, there's only been 2. The one I mentioned last week, women's cross-country mountain biking by Switzerland. One gold by Yolanda Neff, Sina Free silver, and then Linda Ilgengard got bronze. Then in the women's 100 meters in running, Jamaica swept first, second, and third. Gold going to Elaine Thomas-Hara, silver to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, and then bronze to Sharika Jackson. Last week I said that India had only won 1 medal so far. That's one of the countries I'm following for you, friends. They are now up to 5 medals, 2 silvers and 3 bronzes. Shakon Mirachanu won the silver in women's 49 kilogram weightlifting. Ravi Kumar Dahai won men's 57 kilogram wrestling silver medal. PV Sindhu won bronze in women's single badminton. Lovina Borgohain won bronze in women's welterweight boxing. And then the men's field hockey team, the Indians men's national field hockey team, won bronze in the field hockey event. And there's like 20 people on there. I'm not going to read all those names. You can look them up. So they've won 5 medals. Very respectable collection of medals there. So congratulations to all the athletes from ye old India. And so I mean, if there's another country, I know I have a lot of listeners in India and here in the United States. If there's other country you would like me to mention, more than happy to let you know about it and whatnot. I'm not going to read all of the American winners because that's just a lot of names that would probably take up the entire broadcast. So, but want to highlight India because not as many, and they do a very good job. So congratulations. The next story is another Olympic story, and really, it's just one of those really nice stories. I don't have a whole lot of great stories on here. It's funny and kind of like, oh boy, but this is a very sweet story. The Olympic high jump event, which basically you put a bar and you jump over it. There's 2 Olympic high jump athletes, one from Qatar named Mutsa Ezabarshim, and then one from Italy named Gianmarco Tambray. I'm probably saying both names wrong. They've known each other for about 10 years, I guess. And they're friends. They've gone to many different events together. They're very familiar with each other. But they competed against each other, and then they both made the jumps of 2.37 meters, which is about 7.7 feet. About 2 feet more than I am tall. That is how that's about how high they jumped. But they both missed 2.39. So they're both tied at the very end. And the Olympic officials said, okay, you have a choice of having a jump off to see who wins first and who wins second. And then the athlete from Qatar said, well, can there be 2 gold medals? And they said, yes, you could choose to share the gold if you want to, or you can have a jump off. And they both agreed to share the medal. So they both won the gold medal in the high jump. They chose not to do a face-off and just to share the gold medal. And once the Italian athlete heard that, they hugged each other tightly, and they were almost crying because they know each other so well. And it was really nice, really nice doing it. And then at the medal ceremony, where they usually come on, the Olympic officials put the medals on the athletes. They each put a gold medal on each other. So the Italian athlete put it on the Qatar put the medal on the Italian athlete, and then it was just a really nice moment. The Olympic spirit, as it were, between 2 athletes who are friends, decided to share the gold medal. I mean, you can only high jump for so long, so I don't know how many more Olympics these 2 are going to get to, but it was a really nice, sweet moment between 2 friends, competitors, but also friends in the Olympic high jump. So if you haven't seen the video of it going down, find it on YouTube. It will make your day. I watched it several times because it's just it gives you a little hope that humanity isn't all that bad. There's still some good folks out there. Moving on to entertainment news, Fandango. Did you know they had a streaming service? I did not. Vudu. VUDU. Did you know they were a streaming service? Maybe? Well, these are 2 of the smaller streaming services. You got your Hulu, your Netflix, your Apple TV, and even Disney Plus. So a lot of these smaller streaming outfits are consolidating and whatnot because there's a lot of pressure now. So Fandango is combining its streaming services under Vudu. NBC Universal owns Fandango, but they bought Vudu in April of last year. Walmart previously owned Vudu, but then sold it to NBC Universal. And they had always planned to sort of fold in these 2 together. And so effective this week, all Vudu hosting. Vudu is hosting all Fandango content today. Fandango users can transfer their movie and TV collections to Vudu as well. So if you bought something on Fandango, you can pop that over to Vudu. Vudu has over 20,000 titles. 20,000 titles to rent or buy, apparently. Thousands streaming for free every month. Many are available in 4K, ultra high def. And the service is available on Samsung, LG, Viso Smart TVs. It is the official movie provider for Roku. It is also on Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Xfinity X1, Xfinity Flex, PlayStation, Xbox, and TiVo. So Vudu is on a lot of different platforms as a streaming service. So Apple TV, you can Apple TV streaming there, also Hulu and Netflix, but you can also get Vudu through all of these different platforms. So $20,000 is really nothing to sneeze at. They've got quite a bit there. NBC Universal does have a lot of TV, has a lot of movies on there. So just one more streaming service for you to sign up for, I guess, if you like the stuff they have there. But I would be not surprised to see more of this start popping up. As you may remember, last year, Quibi was a streaming service pushing 10-minute episodes, and that folded after about 6 months because, well, they spent too much money on celebrities and not enough money on advertising. But the streaming wars are heating up as more people subscribe to these video-on-demand services. Next up in entertainment news, Nicholas Hoult, who you may remember from Hulu's The Great, which is a fantastic series. I highly recommend you check it out. He is going to be playing Dracula's unhinged henchman in Renfield. You may remember Dracula, the most recent one, Bram Stoker's Dracula in 1992 with Gary Oldman, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder. Okay, those ones. Well, in that movie, there was a crazy prisoner, Dracula's henchman, played by Tom Waits, the great Tom Waits, the singer. And his name was Renfield. In the movies, in the books, Renfield was the first person to meet Dracula, kind of went crazy, and then that happened before the story started. Well, this movie is going to be focusing on this character, and it'll be played by Nicholas Hoult, and I think it's really going to be really good because I find this to be very, very interesting. It's going to be Chris McKay is involved with it, who was behind the Tomorrow War and Lego Batman. It is original script by Robert Kirkman, okay, which does the Walking Dead, and screenplay by Ryan Ridley, who works on Rick and Morty. Both shows I really, really like. So it should be good. This is somewhat of a turn for Universal. Universal tried to do a sort of monster movieverse, kind of like how Marvel has its Marvel universe. Well, Universal owns all of these horror characters, like the Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula, etc., etc., etc. Well, it kind of flopped. Tom Cruise did The Mummy. It really didn't work out that well. And so they've changed how they're doing it. Instead of doing these movies where they're all interconnected and do like a big Avengers Endgame type movie down the road for all these people, they're doing less of that, just doing one-off movies. So, for example, they did The Invisible Man, starring Elizabeth Moss, which was a pretty good movie, and that made $143 million, and they spent $7 million on it. So, that is a lot of money, spending a little money. So they're also working on The Invisible Woman, directed by Elizabeth Banks, and another Wolfman movie with Ryan Gosling. Yeah. Benicio del Toro did a Wolfman movie, and they were trying to connect that with Tom Cruise and the Dracula movie. It just didn't work out all that well. So anyways, Renfield, that'll be coming up probably in a couple years. Should be good. Hopefully, I mean, the people involved with it, I like their work. So unless something terrible happens, it should be a decent movie. Should be a decent movie. So check out Renfield. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And I really like the thought of doing a movie exploring a character that we only see pretty briefly. He's only in prison. He's crazy. How did he get there? Like, what happened? Because, the Dracula movie focused on other characters, and Renfield was kind of like the first-person Dracula tried to use to accomplish his goals, and kind of just went crazy. So this should be interesting. You know who should have an origin story movie made about them? My pal Rox. How did she get her own show? How does she look so beautiful week in and week out? How does she manage to be so amazing? I think that could drive millions of dollars. But until then, you can, my friends. You can hear her Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. The Rock Sessions. Okay? It is AWSM Radio's drive time show, making sure your evening commute home is fun, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. She will make it rock style. Listen to it. The Rock Sessions, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., right here on AWSM Radio. Next, friends, we go to fashion. Levi Strauss, the jeans people. When you think of Levi's, you think of rugged American jeans, folks working outside in the hot sun or the cool fall, making things work, getting cattle, things like that. Well, friends, now when you think of Levi Strauss, you'll think of all those things, plus yoga apparel. That's right. Levi Strauss has acquired the yoga apparel brand Beyond Yoga. The jeans maker is now entering the activewear market. It was an all-cash deal. Did not disclose the size of it. They expected to contribute $100 million worth of revenue next fiscal year. It was founded by two women in Los Angeles in 2005. So congratulations to those ladies. I'm sure they've got a nice payday. Their marketing echoes messages of body positivity and size inclusivity to younger girls, which is very important. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, because there is a lot of diet culture out there that is just blep, 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 as far as I'm concerned. So they plan to expand Beyond Yoga outside the United States and open more brick-and-mortar stores, so there'll be Beyond Yoga stores. They hope to grow the women's side of their business, which accounts for about a third of their business today. They're hoping to get that to 50%. Now, the activewear industry is popping. It is very, very hot. Kohl's and Target are all in on trying to capture some sales there. Wolverine Worldwide, which is the company behind Merrell, Saucony, Sperry, Stride, Wright, and some other shoe names, scooped up Lululemon, their rival, Sweaty Betty, which is a great name. So Lululemon is a very popular activewear company. Sweaty Betty, they bought them for $410 million. Big box stores like Kohl's, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods are launching their own activewear. Nike, Gap, Under Armour, they're doing their own things. And there are a whole slew of small startup companies in the space. Some notables as Outdoor Voices, No Bull, and Brandier. So this is a very big area that is growing more and more. The says here that the shifting fashion trend has been coined work leisure. So someone can go to a workout class and then to the coffee shop and wear the same thing. So work leisure. So get ready. That's the next sort of fashion trend moving along. And for those who have invested in Levi Strauss, Levi shares are up over 30% year to date, with its market cap at $11.1 billion. billion. So making the move into activewear, not just jeans, Levi Strauss. When you want to go do yoga, then have a coffee date with your friends, you think Levi Strauss yoga pants. I mean, I think I could be a spokesman. So, Levi Strauss, you know how to find me. Contact the folks at AWSM Radio. They'll get in touch with me. Everyone gets a piece of the pie. Everyone wins. Everyone wins. Moving to Chicago, the Chicago Cubs are, assuming they get approval from a variety of different agencies, looking to open a sports betting location at Wrigley Field. Yes, that's right. They are partnering with DraftKings to build a 2-story sports booking building adjacent to the historic baseball park. It's going to be a glass-walled sports booking. It needs approval from, the gaming board, city council, National Park Service, because they are a National Historic Landmark. But sports betting is getting one step closer to being at the actual baseball stadiums. For years, it was a big no to bet on sports, or at least have it be sort of anywhere outside of Vegas or even Atlantic City. Now, lots of states are jumping in on it as a way to bring more people to the game, because a lot of people like to, make little wagers here and there, connect with people, and it's interesting. It's interesting that they're really leaning into this. I can't help but to think that my grandfather, the late great Donald Hozak Taylor, would be a little chagrined because one of his favorite players, Pete Rose, is banned from baseball for life for betting on baseball. Granted, he was a player at the time, so that is still illegal. A player from baseball can't walk into DraftKings, make a bet on a game, and then walk back in. He might be able to bet on other games, but even then, that's a very, very slippery slope. But he was a big Pete Rose fan. Did not believe the rumors about him gambling were true, and then he kind of admitted it. And even then, he didn't really completely believe it. But sports betting is becoming more and more likely. It's really opened up in the last 5 years. Really, there's even college football betting now. We live in a society that likes to put a little money on sports, and the technology to do it, it's easier than ever. Which, if it's going to happen, I think it being regulated and not done in the back room of bars and alleyways from less shady bookies, probably for the best. Probably for the best. So, not sure when it'll be built. It needs, like I said, a variety of different approvals. This was only allowed in 2019 under the Illinois Sports Wagering Act. A lot of states are jumping on board here as a source of revenue because obviously gambling gets taxed, so it's more gambling revenue that comes into their coffers so they can pay for things. Here in Pennsylvania. This, of course, is hurting places like Atlantic City and Vegas because they're no longer like the only two places you can go for gambling. And also hurting some Native American reservations because they have their own gambling casinos as well. So lots of folks getting in on the gaming, sports wagering. So I myself am terrible at sports, and therefore I stick to one type of gambling, slots. And one type of slots, the Sex in the City slots. I can't tell you why, folks, but I've played some slots in my day. The only time I've ever walked away with more money is because the girls in the Sex in the City felt like I deserved it. So I'm a loyal fan. Never seen an episode. Never seen a movie. Couldn't tell you anything about the show Sex in the City. The only thing I can tell you is their slot machine is very generous to me. Now, my friends, if you do like betting on sports, you need information. You need to be in the know. You need to get a little bit of an edge. You need to get things analyzed. And, my friends, there's no better place to go on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on AWSM Radio than to Married to the Game. It is our new sports show. It's here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. featuring Brian, Joe, and Mac Daddy. They'll bring their insights, their analytics, their expertise to the table on all things games. They might say something that inspires you to make that good bet. Side note, if you have a gambling problem, don't do it. But if you love sports, if you love trash talk, And if you love listening to these three folks, you're going to want to listen to it. You need to tune in every Wednesday, 9 p.m. to catch up on all things sports. Follow them on Instagram. Married to the Game Radio, MTTGRADIO on Instagram. Bolstered_up_sports for Brian. Nick, you can follow the Mac Daddy Ryan Show. And then Joe at Turn Up the Jets. Listen to Married to the Game Wednesdays at 9 p.m. right here on AWSM Radio. Next up, folks, space. Or it would be space if the Boeing Starliner actually launched this week. As you remember, it was supposed to launch sometime last week, but a mishap with thrusters firing on a Russian module knocked the International Space Station out of rotation for a little bit, delaying this launch. And this launch was then delayed again because valves, there was a valve problem. Valves were not facing the right way. They couldn't figure out why. It wasn't a software issue, so they scrubbed the launch. And they're trying to figure out what exactly is going on before they launch it. This is an unmanned test launch to get this capsule to the International Space Station as a way to launch crew members back into space, to provide another option. But they can't quite get it ready to send up yet. They're not going to put people in yet until they successfully get it up there. They tried to launch in 2019, but an error in software prevented it from actually docking with the International Space Station. So they're trying to figure this out as soon as possible. But it may be delayed even further because the Dragon X, SpaceX Dragon cargo ship is planned to be launched on August 29th, and that cargo ship, which no one's in there, just sends supplies up there, is destined for the same sort of port to connect with the space station. There's only so many parking spots up there, and one is the SpaceX Dragon needs that one, and if that's the case, then the Spaceliner will not launch. So another reason why this may be even delayed further is that NASA plans to launch a probe called Lucy to study some asteroids. So there's only so many launch pads and only so many good times to launch rockets. So the folks at Boeing need to sort this out, or it might be late October, November before they can launch this thing. And the more time they wait, then the more time it's going to take for it to get the go-ahead. So hopefully they'll be able to sort this out, so they'll be able to launch it up there. But still waiting to see for the Boeing Starliner to take off, to get up there. So far, it's not looking fantastic at the moment. Need to figure out their valves. Glad I'm not in charge of that. That is beyond me. Whew, beyond me. But I'll keep track of this. When they do launch it, I'll let you know how it goes. And golly, folks, if that just doesn't about wrap things up here at the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor. Again, 1 year of shows. Thank you so much for joining me week in and week out, visiting my website, ColtSebastianTaylor.com, to listen to past episodes, subscribing to Anchor.fm/ColtSTaylor to subscribe to the weekly uploads of this show. I know I look at the analytics. I know you folks listen, so thank you very much. But, yes, that just about wraps up this week's anniversary Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. Thank you for joining me here today. And remember, as always, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Rizzle, on the Instagram, and on the Cameo at Colt S. Taylor. So if you are a longtime fan, you want to engage with me, if you think there's a story I need to cover, longtime fan Woogie, she sends me stories from time to time, that is the place to do it. And of course, if you haven't already, and if you haven't, then you know you're a fool, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com for all your Colt Sebastian Taylor needs. Well, until next week, my friends, my adventures continue. Until then, I am, of course, your friend, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.